This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Hello, welcome to the Uncanny Truth House. This is Kanye Tetsubo, and today I got a special guest, my mother. And today I would like to talk about something that I don't think many people have covered yet. 3 generations of black women. And I'm going to ask her some questions, and from there, I hope it helps a lot of people understand that our time between the ages have changed, but nothing really has changed. It's just the way they treat us have changed and the way we see things. So one of the people who inspired me to do this was my mother and my grandmother, and also one other person who I'm hoping will do the interview. And let's begin. What is it like growing up in America being a black woman?
Well, for me, growing up in America, being black, that's a challenge in and of itself. But being a black woman presents an even bigger challenge because we are always told that we are inferior by our white counterparts, that they put us in compartments and make us inferior beings and tell us we can do this but we can't do that, we can go here but we can't go there, we can be anything we want to be except what they tell us that we can't be. So it's like they tell us we have all these advantages. You can grow up to be anything in the world, but in reality, we can grow up to be anything that they want us to be, that they allow us to be. We're not free to actually just grow up and be what we want to be. We are relegated and delegated down to being what they tell us. We have a glass ceiling. We don't break through it. We have a glass, and our ceiling ain't as high as our counterparts. If our ceiling is a little bit lower and more closer to the top of our head than anyone thinks. They tell you, oh, you can be what you want to be. No, you cannot. You can be what they tell you can be. So growing up gets confusing. It's more confusing than not, because you have that. Everyone that's your color, brown, they're telling you, hey, you could be anything. You can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, and then you got your counterpart out there saying, well, no, you can be a nurse, not a doctor. You can be the paralegal. You can be a paralegal, but not the lawyer. So they cap us and they confuse us with that. Makes it harder to deal with, all the things that we're already dealing with growing up, learning who we are, learning our history, learning about being a woman, especially a black woman. Then we got all this other stuff going on. So growing up for me, it was really confusing. Growing up being a girl, growing up being brown, it was confusing.
Have you experienced racism? If so, do you feel your health is important when going to a doctor, such as your pain?
Well, I have experienced racism right here in my neighborhood. And I know we talked about the incident earlier today, but I did experience racism right here in this very spot. My neighbor, when we first moved here, we weren't friends, but we spoke. We were on neighborly terms, what I would call it. And my puppy was out in the middle of it's 4:00 in the morning. It's very dark out there. We have lights out there now, but it's very dark. Puppy goes out to use the bathroom. Coyote comes along and thinks, oh, this is my baby. Picks up our puppy and was going with her. We had to shine a flashlight and make a bunch of noise. We got puppy back, but we were traumatized. We had no lights. So we put lights out there. And granted, the lights are very bright. Those lights light up everything out there. My neighbor, her husband and her, they had a problem with how bright the lights were. But we were on speaking terms. So, and she felt somewhere in her mind, she felt that we were friends. And that's a key to this. She felt that we were friends, but her husband spoke to my husband about it, and I guess they had a conversation and some testosterone exchanged, and it didn't go well. She knew. I didn't know. I had no clue until things blew up. That's when I found out that my husband and her husband had even had a conversation. But she knew about whatever conversation they had, and she knew the outcome. But she considered me her friend. She never said a thing to me about it. I had surgery. I had a hysterectomy, and I came home. And when I came home, I had a note in my mailbox from my neighbor, from the husband, saying, oh, you better fix the light, turn it out, do whatever you got to do, or we're going to call the police on you. How long did she know about this? I don't know, because I don't even know when the initial conflict happened. But she knew, and she had enough time in between there. And she's speaking to me. She was speaking. The whole time, she kept speaking to me. She would come over and she would talk to me about nonsensical, mundane things. Like, how's the dog? You gonna let the dog come over and play with my dogs? How are you doing? You gonna go out to girls' night out with me and my friends? And yeah, what are you doing for Mother's Day? What are you doing for the holidays? You know, when's your birthday? Random stuff. But that was important to her and her husband, and she never mentioned a thing about it. So 4th of July came, and we were getting ready to go out of town, and this light was still an issue. She never said a word to me. They left a note. I said, okay, let me go over and talk to them before I go out of town. See, can I get this solved before I go? Reminding you that I had surgery on a Monday. I got out of hospital on a Tuesday. On Wednesday, we got this issue going on, and I'm not healed or anything. I'm still on pain meds. I walk over there, and I'm trying to talk to the husband. The husband cussed me and called me everything but my name, in everything in the. And I was like, well, that's a nice way to treat someone that you need to do something for you, because I'm the keeper of the light. You don't like the light. I can make the light go out, but I'm not going to do it because the way you just approach me, the way you don't decide to call me nigger here, bitch there, whatever you decide to, no, and have me do anything you want me to do. So the light stays until you apologize. So he threatens right then to call the police. I had enough of him. I had stood there 20 minutes being cursed by him trying to be diplomatic. We'll call the police. I don't care. In fact, call them now, because if you don't get to me before tonight, I'm going to be gone for the whole rest of the week and through the weekend, and y'all have to catch me next week. But she knew. And as soon as we left, Thursday, the police come out. They left a card in the door. By the time we come back the next Monday, here we go. The police are here. So you decided to call the police on your friend. When the police come, it didn't get resolved the way she thought it was going to get resolved. They came, they looked, the code inspectors and everybody came out. It was a big deal. Light's legal. They don't have to turn out the light. It's what they got told. Their light is legal. It's installed legal. They don't have to turn it out. They can be neighborly. They can take a light bulb out. They can turn the light out on that side of the house. They don't have to. Which is when she, my friend, decides, oh, this black bitch, and so on and so forth. And I mean, she went into a full tirade. Now, she's the one that called the police. She was the one that called the police. But once she decided to have her little tirade, she thought that because the cops that showed up were Caucasian, things were in her favor. It wasn't. Because the minute she said black bitch, that leveled the playing field. Now she's a racist, and they labeled her as that. So now she can't tiptoe across that brick over there. She put a pinky toe on that brick, she's going to jail. So that's a story we was relaying to you earlier about, yeah, I've experienced racism. It's right here in my own home. And I'm telling you, it didn't end there. Like I was telling you about the Catholic school there with these little Catholic redneck children. These are something else. They cuss at you, leaving the little Catholic school on their little bicycles. I don't know what they're teaching them over there, but they got the little Catholic school, and they leaving. And that if you are in their way in your car driving on the road, they will cut you off and they will cuss you out and call you nigger this and black that. What? Didn't you just leave school? The Catholic school at that, mind you. So that's just two incidents of racism that I've experienced. Those are not the only incidents, but yeah, I have experienced racism. And for your next question that you asked about my health, yeah, I do have a problem with my health when going to the doctor and having them taking me seriously as a black woman. I do. Pain especially. My left shoulder is an issue right now. 3 years. We have medical records now. We're trying to see if we're going to prepare a suit against my doctors, because for 3 years we have spoken with them on and off, and all they would ever do is an x-ray. We're going to give you some Tylenol. We're going to give you some Tylenol. 3 years. And for 3 years I have been walking around with tendinosis in one arm and a slap tear. A slap tear is all the way around. That's the whole muscle around the entire right arm torn, all the way around. I walked around with that like that for 2 years, and this over here with the tendinosis over on the left side, that's been 3 years. And because they think that when you're African American and you have pain like that and you come in, it's a situation of such where they can't see it on the x-ray. Oh, we can't see anything on the x-ray. So they go behind your back and say, well, maybe they're just coming in trying to get pain meds. I'm actually trying to get pain relief. I don't take pain meds. I don't take pain meds for my own personal preference. And if I did take pain meds, because I'm brown, they won't send me to the pain clinic. They have not sent me to the pain. I dealt with endometriosis for 6 years. They told me I didn't have endometriosis because they didn't want to treat it. Then they treated it even though they didn't want to treat it. Then they stopped treatment and told me that they were treating me for something that I didn't have. Then they started treating it again, only to stop treating it. So yeah, I have big concerns with doctors when it comes down to being black and being treated and being taken seriously, because I feel like if my Caucasian counterpart would have walked in there and said the same thing, they would have taken her serious. They would have done something. She would not have had to go 6 years in pain from endometriosis. She would not have had her, and I went outside. It's not like they were the only treating physician. I had to go out on my own, pay out of my pocket. I had to pay $5,000 to find out that I had endometriosis. I had to leave the state of Florida to go to the state of Georgia to find out I did have endometriosis. Get this doctor to write up a summary, bring it back, have it admitted into my record for this doctor here still to tell me, oh, well, what's this? It's a note from a doctor outside your facility that says that what I'm telling you, he's examined me. I had to be put under anesthesia. I have a cut. I have a scar. I had to be cut and scarred. And to this very day, they still do not believe that I had endometriosis. They still don't believe that I have a slap tear. I had to go outside for a slap tear also. I had to do physical therapy for the slap tear. 3 times a week at $35 every time I visited a therapist. I'm not a rich woman, but I had to pay this amount of money just so that I can get an MRI, just so they can see that I'm not telling you a story to get pain meds. I actually have something going on. It required surgery. I refuse to go under the knife. My shoulder on the left side may require surgery. We don't know. If it does, I'm not going under the knife. The problem is that when you tell someone that you're in pain as an African American, you're less likely, in my opinion, to be taken serious than if you're a Caucasian or Hispanic and they go in, they can say, hey, I'm hurting, I'm in pain, and they, oh, well, let's fix this, let's make it better, we're gonna stop it. But me, I take my little brown self somewhere and they're like, well, maybe she's just coming in here trying to get pain meds. So yeah, I have experienced some issues from that. I have some serious reservations about doctors. I don't like to go to the doctor. I get sick, I'll battle it out at home because I get tired of being not taken serious.
And I know when I was born, you was going to the military, Do you feel going to the military was the right choice as a black woman?
Going into the military is a personal choice that everybody makes, and it has a reason that varies greatly between all the candidates. For me, I had a goal when I went into the military. There was something that I was supposed to obtain and achieve. For me, it was the right decision at that time. If I could go back and redo that sequence in my life, knowing what I know about the government, about the military, about the adversities that would present, would I do it again? No. But at that time, it was the right decision.
Did you see inequality while in the military?
Inequality, that's it's not race inequality that I had to worry about in the military. Race inequality was the least of my worries. Sexism, now that's a big one. Because females, we get it handed to us. We're always told constantly we're not good enough. We have to work twice as hard as the men. We are, if we make rank, or if we advance swiftly, or if we show that we are just as good as the males, oh, she must be sleeping with somebody, she out there on somebody's couch, or she on her knees. You get a different type of inequality. You're oppressed in a different manner. They don't oppress you based on what color you are, because for the most part, when you're in the military, no matter what branch it is, you're green. That's what color you are. You're green. Whatever color fatigues you're wearing, that's your color. You don't bear any other color. That's from my standpoint, from where I was. I didn't have a color other than my fatigues. They didn't worry about brown. They only worried about green. That was it. But they did worry that I had boobies. See, I had boobies, and I had a vagina, and I didn't have a penis, and that was trouble. That was trouble. So inequality happened in military service, just not on a level of brownness. It basically, body parts over body color was the issue.
So, what advice would you give those black women thinking of joining the military?
Have a goal. Have a clear cut objective. Obtain the objective without compromising yourself. If at any point you feel like you're going to compromise yourself, find a resolution that allows you out of that situation without compromising yourself. Meaning you're gonna meet that sexism head on. They're doing everything in their power to correct it. It's so widespread. It's so out of control at this point that there's no way to gain a footing of it. You just have a goal. Know what you're there for. Get what you're there for, and do it without having to sleep around. Do it without having to stay into a lot of trouble. If you find that in your first couple of years you're not meeting your goal, when your first contract is over, get out. You have enough backing at that point to obtain your goal in a different way. Don't compromise, and don't settle for being pushed around because you don't have a penis, because that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. And I mean, it doesn't always happen immediately. Some females, they meet it immediately in training. Some, they meet it long down, and as soon as you run into it, know it's there. Know what it looks like. Sniff it, smell it, get away from it. It's going to be a headache and a nightmare that you do not want to deal with. And a lot of females thought that they can handle it. None of us could. None of us could. We all fell by the wayside to it. We all fail. And there is groups that, it's so bad that the VA has groups. They have groups. They have group counseling, individual therapy that you go into, and you sit around, and what I call it is you compare notes on how bad you got it as opposed to how bad your sister got it. So if you're going in, know that this is sexism is your wall. Know that it's there and know how to either get over it or get around it. But be careful to obtain your goal without falling victim to that wall.
And since coming home, how has finding work as a black woman in America, being from the military, affected you?
Finding work, even before the military, was hard because I'm brown. A lot of people don't want to hire brown people, and the Caucasians in power, if they got an issue with a black person and you look like that black person, they don't want to hire you. But after leaving the military, with the mental scars that I found myself carrying around and all the luggage from my service that I found myself carrying around, it became hard. It became so hard that it led to periods, not 1 or 2 periods. I was actually homeless 4 times. 4 times because of the baggage and the scars and the emotional damage that I carried around from the military. So finding work, being able to deal with civilian life and civilian work are not like military life and military work. Everything, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in the military, you are micromanaged. You are micromanaged. When you lose that micromanagement, sometimes you don't know how to function. And I didn't know how to function initially. I didn't know how to stay on task, stay on schedule. I didn't look for work the way I was supposed to. I mean, working in America is hard for anybody, let alone a female, but it was so much harder with me having that baggage, having those issues that were tagging along as my best friends now. It was so much harder to maintain employment because once you're scarred, once you're emotionally damaged, anything that looks like that damage tends to make you want to run. You say, oh, no, I've seen this thing before. This hurts. This is bad. This will kill me. And you get away from that thing. So I quit a lot of jobs. I walked away from a lot of jobs that I could have had working with the government. It smelled like military life, and I didn't want anything else to do with military life. So it became a little rough for me. And right now, I'm still stabilizing. And people look at me and think, oh, she's got it all together. No, I don't have it all together, but I do know how to hide. I know how to hide it well. I know how to put cosmetics over it and patches here and band-aids there and be able to walk upright like I have it all together. I figure if I fake it till I make it, then I'll make it. You know what I mean? If I can get people to believe that I'm the authentic item until I become the authentic item, then when I become the authentic item, then I'm cool. Nobody has to know all the struggles that I'm going through or that I'm dealing with. I'm still struggling right now, but I'm a work in progress and I'm getting it together. And I do believe that there is life after trauma. You can get back up. You may not get back on the same horse, but you can get on a horse. You can ride. You can go. You can be. You can do. And that's the process that I'm in.
So what advice would you give to those who are now getting out of the military?
Same advice. Have a clear goal. Have a clearly defined goal. Know what you need to do and do it. Do not be afraid. Do not allow the things that have come against you to be things that keep you away from your goal. I let a lot of fear keep me away from my goals, the things that I wanted to do. When I got out, I had goals. I had clearly set boundaries and such, and fear. When I got out and they handed me those final papers, and I was, oh my God, I'm free. But I'm free of one devil, and I knew that devil, but I don't know what I'm going to. And I have these goals, but I don't know how to obtain them. You can't let fear get in there. You gotta be able to push past whatever it is, whatever fear, whatever trauma, push past it, see your goal, obtain it. Reach it, touch it, do whatever you gotta do. but don't compromise yourself at the same time. Have a goal, don't compromise yourself. Obtain that goal. And don't let fear be the thing that keeps you away from your goal, because fear kept me chained up by my leg for a lot of years until 2016. I was chained up by my leg by fear. I got out of the military back in 1995, and I stayed chained up from 95 to 2016. That's a long time to be in bondage. A long time to be in bondage. But fear was my tormentor. Once I was able to break past that fear, now my goal, I got to go back around. I still got the same goal. Goal didn't change. Goal never changed. But I got to go back around now and try to go backwards and get to where I originally should have and wanted to be. So have a goal. And don't let fear stop you from reaching it.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to?
No, I actually I'm glad I did this interview with you. It's kind of, I think it's giving you more insight into me and who I am and what I've dealt with. And it opens the door for a lot of other conversations that we will have. And it gives me a way to be able to give you information on me that you still need to know, and to gain information on you. So I'm just glad I did this interview. It's awesome.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Well, we're going to be doing another episode, and I'm not sure when, but stick around. This is Kanye Tetsubo signing off. Thank you. Goodbye.